Hey, before anything else, on this Wednesday, well, if anyone didn't guess by the intro music by one of the greatest bands ever, it is the birthday for Sports and Fitness Rants. Happy birthday, sir.
Oh man, thank you very much, my man AOH. Like I said, it's been a pleasure since I've been doing these lives, since we've linked up on YouTube, man. It's been sensational. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Yo, shout out to everybody out there that's been hitting me up on my channel. Like I said, it is truly humbling to have you guys come through, hit me with all these messages. Like I said, it really means a lot. I feel like, we're like a family out here. You guys know me, man. And like I said, it really means a lot. Just turned 45. So shout out to all you guys. Once again, we're back with a Wednesday edition, man. And we got some great stuff to talk about today. You know it. You know it. We are definitely talking about LeBron James on his wife's podcast, talking a whole bunch of nonsense, man. We definitely talking about that today, man. And we're going to be talking about some other things. But let me shout out to you guys out there in the chat. Yo, shout out to the Dark Wolf who just became a member. Much respect to you. Always coming through. Shout out to old school NBA fan. I see you dropping the news about Russell Westbrook. Shout out to you for coming through. Dakota Brock, thank you very much. Lion Tamer 3D, much respect. Renee 43, thank you for coming through. Of course, Sports and Fitness Rants hater coming through. Duggins, thank you very much. One Musketeer, shout out to you. Import AI, my man Armando Ruiz 23 coming through. King Speech Roll course. QB to LB, shout out to you. Roland Curtis, thank you very much. Chase 1738, Rookie 305, my man Rakim the Dream. Shout out to all you guys. Legend, Animaniac 89. Iceman Blazer, Fantasy, what's up? Zizza Plays, you guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
I got to follow that energy up with a little something that I have prepared.
KLF is gonna rock you. KLF is gonna rock you. KLF is gonna rock you.
Over and out. Over and out. Oh,
and that was Scott Skiles.
Say what?
That was Scott Skiles that he dunked over there at the end. Shout out to Scott Skiles, who still to this day has the NBA record for most assists in an NBA game. Shout out to Scott Skiles, man.
I was thinking. I was trying to think how that popped into my head. It popped into my head with the Black Sheep we referenced last week. And it's sort of the same time. But I remember there is a singles cover with KLF holding sheep. And I think that subconsciously got into my head. But you remember KLF?
Yes.
Okay. I hope you didn't Google this. Do you know who the Justified Agents of Moo Moo are?
Oh, no, I don't.
Okay, but you heard them?
I have never heard that before.
Okay. They talk about
educate us, AOH.
They talk about the Justified Agents of Moo Moo throughout that entire album and are chanting Moo Moo and stuff like this. So this is the old man rant part of the show. This shit came out before the internet.
Okay.
Not before Google, not before Instagram, before the effing internet, people. So the only information you had was whatever was written on the album. And I come from a tiny little town. The only ethnicities were Caucasians and Mexicans. That's it. That's the entire spectrum. And we're thinking the justified ancients of Mumu are some ancient tribe that's really worth like respecting and revering and shit. We're like, oh wow, they're talking about the justified ancients of Mumu. Turns out it's just the previous name of the brand of these two British dudes. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing.
You know what's funny? When you think about names, when you think about titles of stuff, you know, sometimes people think that there has to be a meaning or some kind of significance behind something. You know, like you said, a name of a band or the name of an album or the name of a song. You know, I remember this rap group called Daz Effects from back in the day. Shout out to Daz Effects. Anybody remembers Daz Effects? And I remember them, you know, their brand of rap. Like if you think about what they were saying now, you think about some of the lyrics, they weren't making it didn't mean anything. They were just rhyming words. That's essentially what they were doing. You know, bibbidi by ski bop, you know, Scooby Doo and hip hop, and you know, and I'm not saying that, you know, what
Rawr,
they
rawr, like a dungeon dragon.
you know, yeah, I'm not saying like what Daz Effects wasn't nice because we all, you know, love Daz Effects. But these are the kind of things I'm talking about. It was more so about rhyming the words than necessarily having a meaning or something like that. Like you'll hear, you know, some rappers, they tell stories, right? They tell a story when they're rapping.
Oh, boy, that came to a sudden end there.
Yeah, no, but that's what you made me think about when you started talking about, you know, like I said, some of this stuff, man.
Yeah, and a lot of rock bands, it gets really emotional. It's like, wow, they must be singing about something really important. And sometimes you don't want to learn the lyrics. You know, Def Leppard was very hard to understand what the lead singer was ever saying. And do yourself a favor, don't ever find out. Because you'll be disappointed.
But that's what I'm saying. When you think about, you know, see, for me, when I think about music, and you think about some of these, you know, you're mentioning some of these rock bands or some of these heavy metal bands, and you may not necessarily be able to decipher the words, you know, when you're listening to the music. And if you actually do find out the words, you might be like, damn, these people saying some crazy stuff. But when I think about some of those bands, it's about the actual music that they're playing on the instruments. You know, when you talk about some of the guitarists, some of the drummers, what these guys can do, I mean, my goodness, man. You know, when you see some of these guys and they have their, you know, their solos, they call them, right? They'll have a solo, a drum solo, or they'll have a solo. I remember one of my friends growing up was a huge Guns N' Roses fan, right? Huge Guns N' Roses fan, loved Axl Rose. And I remember, to me, I didn't really know that group growing up. I didn't know about Guns N' Roses like that. And I ended up meeting this kid, and he ends up loving Guns N' Roses. He had Guns N' Roses posters on his wall. I had all athletes and, you know, all kinds of sports figures on my walls. And I had some maybe comic book characters, Wolverine and the Punisher. And I remember him talking about this group. And I remember looking into Guns N' Roses. And I find out about this dude, Slash. This guy wears his top hat. He's got this long hair that covers his face. And I'm like, yo, what's up with this dude? And this dude is breaking it down on the guitar, man. I mean, I knew about Jimi Hendrix. I think a lot of brown people know about Jimi Hendrix going on.
Everyone knows about Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, man, but especially you black man, and you know about some Jimi Hendrix, man. You think about Wesley Snipes and White Men Can't Jump. We talked about You Can't Hear Jimmy. So when that kind of stuff is not lost on me. The art of the music that these guys can play with the instruments. It's not about them going on a machine and typing in some buttons and playing the music. Like that's what always drove me and, you know, to Stevie Wonder. This guy's a musician. He can play all these different instruments.
We have a super chat, and this is from Animaniac. AOH, please don't use copyrighted music anymore. Robin's VOD still has the Black Sheep song on their YouTube. Oh, hey. So when we get off here, let me show you how to go back and remove that later.
Yeah, shout out to Animaniac89 for putting that out there. I appreciate you guys looking out for me. My man AOH, like I said, we always try to like have some fun with these live streams, and I'm not too tech savvy. So yeah, shout out to Animaniac. Thank you very much.
So speaking of us reflecting on the 80s and 90s, I saw one of your videos, and I didn't listen to it because I didn't want to get any more angry than I already was. But LeBron James claiming he grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm 10 years older than LeBron James. That's closer to when I grew up. But then him talking about sensitivity, I don't even want to know what he said, but I'm going to find out because you're going to tell me. But this, like, one of the most sensitive people we've ever had in the mainstream, one of the most insecure and insensitive people we've ever had in the mainstream, is talking about what was he being nostalgic? Like, oh, we got to go back to when people were less sensitive. Well, lead the charge, you insensitive bitch. I mean, you sensitive bitch. Sorry.
No, you're right. Well, let me give you some context then. And shout out to everybody in the chat. I see you guys all out there. King Shy Solomon, Iceman Blazer. Thank you very much. I see you guys putting out the 80s and the 90s. I see the real Siberians came through. As always, Ebodicus 3421. Thank you very much to you guys for coming through. So let me give some context in how this went down. So, like a lot of you guys might know if you listened to my video earlier, I know AOH you did not. He was on his wife's podcast, right? And the video that I watched, right? So that's funny. That's funny in and of itself. Absolutely, AOH. Just like they were doing Pilates together not that long ago. Now they're doing a podcast together. Now you dragged your wife down to your level. You brought the lying, you brought all the nonsense to your wife's podcast now. And AOH, you know how they started it off? This is how they started off with. They started off with asking LeBron James about integrity. Yes, that's right. Integrity. This is the exact question, AOH. This is what the exact thing they said.
I'd like to welcome to my podcast, respectfully, the GOAT.
They say this, what she says. Do you think, and I wrote this down word for word, ladies and gentlemen, it's word for word. Do you think we live in a world where integrity is valued? They're asking LeBron James to answer this. LeBron James' response, no, hell no. And he proceeds to say this. Now, this is where it gets funny. Everything is so fake. This word for word. Everything is so fake now. You can't be honest with people. Everybody is so sensitive, so you're afraid to hurt people's feelings because you don't know how they will take it. I grew up in the 80s and 90s when you could say something and they wouldn't take it so personal.
Here's what's frustrating, Robin. A lot of what he's saying is correct, but fucking be an example. You don't get to be the problem, the poster child of the problem, and then talk about how it should be. And who was it? Who wrote in here? Sorry, I think it was Iceman Blazer, born in '84, so he was 5 in 1989. Being 5 at the end of a decade does not count as growing up in that decade. I'm sorry, you're not experiencing anything. You're barely even remembering at that stage. So let's not. I appreciate the context that you provided by, stating that was when you were born and you were 5 in '89. I'm sorry, you don't know a goddamn thing about the '80s, right? I mean, I'm not shitting on Iceman Lander. I think that's the point that he's making. But, I'm kind of backtracking by talking about that. Jesus.
No, but you made a great point, though, when you said that in some of this response that he had. I mean, first of all, to me, he didn't really answer the question about integrity to me. I don't think he really understands what integrity is and how to explain or give an example of having integrity. So like you said, everything that he says here, some of it I do agree with. I definitely agree with the 80s and the 90s part because that's how I remember growing up. I don't remember growing up with people being so sensitive. As a matter of fact, we've often talked about, and I've mentioned on my channel many times, about I remember as a kid growing up, man, on the school bus on the way to school, man, and we having Yo Mama So Fat dissing contests. Yo Mama talking about people's moms, man. I'm saying people were ruthless. Anyone out there in the comments in the chat, if you guys maybe experienced some of this stuff, I'm just telling you what I experienced in the 80s New York City, man. Now, I'm telling you, people on the back of the bus talking about your mama. Your mama so ugly this, your mama so fat that, your mama so stupid this. All kinds of stuff, man. Dissing contests as kids. So when you talk about having to have a thick skin, there was a saying growing up back in those days that all of us know. It's called sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. And I remember anytime you try to complain to an adult about someone hurting your feelings or saying something to you, they would tell you sticks and stones, kid. Sticks and stones. Yo, are you kidding me? Right now, wants to hear about this nonsense. Now everybody's upset. Everyone's a victim. Everyone needs a pillow. Everyone needs a shoulder to cry on. You got NBA players missing games for mental rests. Mental rest. That's insane. I mean, come on, man. It's insane for people to be trying to compare themselves. So I do agree with the 80s and 90s thing. But LeBron James, like you said, you're not an example of the 80s and 90s. And like I said in my video, we are not taking LeBron James, man. We are not taking him in. The children of the 80s and the 90s. We are not bringing in LeBron James, man. We are not welcoming into that, man. This dude does not represent us at all. Hell no.
Hell no. Hell no. Yeah, I think therapy became like a trending thing somewhere in the early 90s, mid 90s. And on one hand, you might argue, it's good. It probably helped some people, but it also seems to have started a trend of focusing on your issues and like dwelling on issues. That was the flip side of it, the dark side of it. You and I were ranting before we went live, like how like everybody's conversation going down the street sounds like they're in the middle of a therapy session. They aren't waiting until they're in closed doors or on their podcast. Like they're just walking down the street or on the beach or in the forest shouting shouting to the person next to them or into their speakerphone every personal detail of their fucking lives.
Yo, it's the facts, man. I'll listen. I'll even bring it to the military, man. I remember when I was in the military, I went to boot camp, and sometimes they would tell you stories, man. They'd be like, yo, these guys could beat you up, man. They could beat you physically in boot camp, and they're going to be on you. They're going to be in your face, all this stuff. And we were never physically beaten. I never saw anybody physically beaten in boot camp, man. But I saw dudes in your face, man. They got scary in there a bunch of times with some of the RDCs, man, and the authority figures out there in boot camp, man. And I can tell you, they used to make us do push-ups on the grinder. They used to call the blacktop the grinder. And they used to make you do push-ups on the grinder in like 90-some degree heat. And the blacktop would get so hot that when you used to drop down for push-ups, it would burn the skin off your hands. So eventually, after doing this for weeks in boot camp, your hands develop those calluses and that tough skin from doing the push-ups on the grinder all the time, man. I remember them making us shave when you had no beard. I didn't have a beard like that when I was growing up, when I was in the military. And they used to make you shave in boot camp when you didn't even have nothing there. You come outside and you be standing there, and you'd have to run a dry razor over your face, man, when you didn't have nothing there. And they didn't want to hear no ifs and buts about it. Like I talked about, when you play sports, a lot of people out there experience football. We talked about triple sessions many times out here. How many of you guys, did they give you guys water breaks all the time? Did they care about water breaks? They didn't tell you to earn the water. You had to earn a water break by essentially almost dying out there on the field. This is what you went through to be on the football team back in them days. This is what we're talking about now. And I'm not saying that was right. I'm not saying what was wrong. But I'm telling you, that's how we had to get through it. So when I tell you you had to be tougher by default, that's the facts, man.
So speaking of sensitivity, that gives me an excuse to bring this up. I just caught a glance at a couple of comments of our last live, and somebody was offended about the golden calf and the Israelites, and that I was like taking a shot at Israelites. No. I was raised on the Bible, and the golden calf was associated with Moses leading the Israelites out of Egypt. Sorry, that's all there is to it. If there's a more famous golden calf, I'll fucking reference that. Damn, people.
Yo, man,
stop looking for shit to be upset about.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying, right? Everyone being sensitive, like you just mentioned, AOH. I mean, that's a perfect example of people looking for something to be upset about. Like I'll go right back to the same thing that I talked about before. To me, it speaks volumes of where we're at society as far as sensitivities goes. Where's Mrs. Butterworth at, man? I ask everybody out there, right? Or Aunt Jemima, whoever the hell it was. One of them they got rid of. Where they at, man? This is where we're at now. You can't even have a damn syrup with a bottle with a lady on it, man? Like, come on, man. Like, it's insane. Yo, listen, man. They got rid of the Redskins in the NFL. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but what are we doing here? That's not a problem. If you think that's the problem in society, that we had a football team in the NFL named the Redskins, you think that's where the problems lie? Come on, man. We got bigger problems than this, man. People are worried about the wrong things out here, man. It's just weird to me, man. It really is sometimes. I don't get it.
Well, let's bring it to me. You got you got what they would call woke people complaining about my look on here, thinking that it means something more. But you also have the far right hoping that it means what they think it means. Like, I'm trying to be an asshole. And you got the far left saying, "Oh, you are being an asshole," and it does. It's neither one.
Yo, you know what's funny, man? I want everyone to think about this guy named Bob Ross. If you don't know who Bob Ross is, I want you guys to go Google Bob Ross right now. And I want you guys to tell me who he looks like. What does he look like to you? Does he look like a black person? Does he look like someone who's ethnic? You tell me about Bob Ross, all right? The legendary Bob Ross, who I posted a picture of not that long ago on my channel. When people try to make it seem as if you are trying to do some blackface or you're trying to imitate a black person, it's laughable to me. And once again, it lets me know that they don't have much experience in the world, in life. You know, I remember once again when I was in boot camp in the military, I came across and met individuals that I was the first brown person they had ever met.
Wow.
I knew a guy from Wyoming. He didn't never met no brown people, man. I was the first brown person this dude ever met, man. So we have to understand some of our life experience, some people, they ain't never been out there. They think that every white person got some straight hair or people who have white can't have hair like you. Once again, go Google Bob Ross and you let me know who he looks like.
I hear you. I'm not gonna.
Rest in peace to Bob Ross, man, for real.
Very relaxing.
I remember watching Bob Ross, man, the Pretty Little Trees. Yo, but hold on. We got to continue this, though.
Oh, really?
We must continue to what LeBron James was saying. We have to bring it back here.
Oh, the verbatim quotes?
Oh, yeah. No, we got to bring it back. We got to bring it back. We got to keep bringing it back here. We can't just, like, when he talks about the 80s or the 90s, and he starts talking about how people take things personal, like you said, there's too many instances of LeBron James taking things personal. When you have that girl removed from the stands and point at her out like that, the way you pointed her out, you're the poster boy for sensitive. Come on. That's insane for you to act like you're not sensitive, that you're representing the 80s and the 90s. Come on. We talk about the 80s and the 90s NBA players, and we talk about things like load managing. The 80s and the 90s guys, they had a sense of obligation to go out there and earn it. Once again, they play with the love of the game. That's what we got in the 80s and the 90s. That's what I get from the 80s and the 90s. This is representing the 80s and the 90s, man. What LeBron James representing is not the 80s and 90s. I've said on my channel before, LeBron James claims to be a Michael Jordan fan. He knew Michael Jordan growing up. I was watching Michael Jordan. I know Michael Jordan, man. That's Black Jesus. I can't believe I wear number 23 for Michael Jordan. But yet he acts as if he doesn't even know Michael Jordan's career. Like you never watched him in the 80s and the 90s. You act like you never watched this dude. You don't know what he was doing, what he went through, how he went through it, how he went about his business. No one's telling you to be like Kobe Bryant and try to be like Michael Jordan like that. No one wants you to play like him or talk like him or walk like him. But damn it, you should look at Michael Jordan as an example of how you should carry yourself and how you should compete and how you should go about your business. The man laid the blueprint and you ignored it.
Someone else, a LeBron fan, commented that all I do is show LeBron's bad plays. And this, funny enough, was on the video called 7 Consecutive Plays. I'm like, do you know what consecutive means? The whole point of the video is that I don't have to pick anything out. I'm like, this is what the game looks like. And I couldn't get past one possession without having to break it down. Oh, boy.
AOH, you're leading me right into another great point there when you said what you just said right there.
Great.
And sensational for you to say this when you talk about how people will say that you just, highlighting the negative plays of LeBron James. All you guys do is be negative about LeBron James. Listen, we've never lied about LeBron James on these live streams, on our channels. I've told you guys all the time, what my man AOH is giving you is the visual. He's giving you guys the video, man. everything that I'm giving you the audio of. I'm not lying about none of this stuff. And the video footage that he puts that he's not cherry picking here and there, like we're telling you, man. You can go through an entire first quarter, and it takes you 30 minutes for my man to get through it because all you see is the same nonsense. LeBron James standing on one side of the court, not making it cross half court. This is from the opening tap. The opening tap, this video footage is out there, guys. So we have to understand, like I said, and it makes me think about something that I'm always talking about. When I talk about the caliber of people that come to our live streams, the caliber of people who come to our videos and our channel. When I talk about the true basketball fans, it's not about everyone out here thinking that Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time or them agreeing with everything we're saying. But I'm telling you guys, man, we're trying to give you guys some perspective and context here, man. And we're talking about the facts, man. We're giving you guys, like I said, historical perspective here. These people on these other platforms, you see some of these weak channels like the GOAT James Kingdom. I've seen some of you guys mention them in the chat. You know, these FYF Clown, some of these other fools I just found out about, the Scorer Society, and some of these other idiots out here. When you look at the comment section of their videos, when you look at the live streams that they've done and the people that comment on this stuff, nothing is ever accurate. They're just lies on top of lies. As a matter of fact, I made a video about the Score Society, and now they were talking about how Michael Jordan fans only talk about Michael Jordan as if he played 6 years. We never talk about any of the other years, only the 6-0 and the 6 years he won. That's how he says Michael Jordan fans are all casuals. And I go to the comment section of this video, and what do I see? People making more lies to support the lies that he was saying in that video. One guy actually said that Michael Jordan never faced a 25-point per game score in the finals. And I thought to myself when I saw the comment, not necessarily if it was right or wrong, because I couldn't be accurate off the top of my head if that was actually true. But I thought to myself, what difference does it make? What are we trying to say here? It doesn't add up. LeBron James fans, his fan base, their content and the people that come there, they create these weird, like I said, lies and narratives that don't even make any sense. Even if that was true, because I looked into it, and of course it's not true, but even if it was true, what does it even mean? It doesn't mean anything.
Miguel says LeBron wouldn't know how to handle a yo mama joke and have a comeback. Well, I'd actually probably have more sensitivity in class than to even do a mama joke on LeBron, considering what happened with LeBron's mom and his teammate.
Well, I mean, it's obvious LeBron James can't take no jokes like that because that's why he had that girl removed from the stadium. Remember, she, I guess, said something about his kids or something, or allegedly that's what happened. Sensitive.
I do have a couple of LeBron James plays from 2020 that I'm going to pull up here in a second. Karl Malone, Barkley, Magic, and Clyde. At King to be 25. To be 25 again. Yeah, Rob and I were just saying we'll keep the knowledge of getting older, but I think mid-20s is where I would stop aging physically.
Yeah, we were joking about that. When you're younger, you want to be older because there are certain restrictions. When you're growing up, you can't drive a car, you can't buy certain things, you can't do certain stuff, right? So you want to be a certain age. Oh, I want to be 18. Oh, I want to be 21. Oh, I want to be 25. So yeah, you think about your prime, your quote unquote prime of our lives, when you thought you were at the best, right? Maybe when you had hair, right? Maybe when you were in the best shape of your life, maybe you were 20 pounds lighter, or, you thought you looked your best, whatever the case may be, man. But when I talk about fitness and health on my channel, I tell people all the time, when we talk about going through life and getting older, it's not always about, being alive, right? And a lot of people, as they go through life, they just are okay with being alive and being like, yeah, I'm 40 or I'm 45 or I'm 50 or I'm 60 and this is how I'm supposed to feel. This is normal. It's okay for me to be lazy because this is the age I've gotten to. I've earned it. And I tell people it's one thing to just be alive, but it's another thing to be living. So even though I've gotten older and yeah, I would, love to be 25 again. I had hair, and, I said I was definitely faster and, more athletic at that age. But at the same time, I don't feel like, I'm not a better version of myself right now because like you mentioned, AOH, I'm smarter now, I'm wiser, and I've learned things over this life and I've taken care of myself and I've done things to put myself in a position where I can still go on the basketball court and people don't think I'm 45.
Amen, man. Amen. I used to get away with a decade and a half younger, and then I finally reached, and then my beard fucking turned gray and I was fucked. but I can still play with people 2 decades shorter, younger. Hey, so I've got Anthony Davis, Game 2 of 2020 on the screen. I was trying to watch it, and the NBA channel was stalling out on me. But I did take a moment to look at the box score because Anthony Davis in this game apparently made 14 of his first 15 shots on the way to 32 points. 14 of his first 15 shots. How this guy didn't win MVP? But guess what? LeBron scored 33. AD scored 32. Well, that brings me to screenshot number 2. And here, let me make that one bigger while I'm doing this.
All right.
I'm not sure how that's a classic game, by the way. It was a fucking blowout. What do they mean, classic game?
It's always classic with LeBron James, right? It's classic.
Right?
Classic LeBron James getting carried and saved by his teammates.
Okay, look at the shots in the paint here. One would like to think that this is Anthony Davis's shot chart. This is LeBron James's shot chart. Where's your center supposed to go, man?
Oh, man. See, when they tell us, these weirdos out here, LeBron James is a better shooter than Michael Jordan. I had this weirdo from the GOAT James Kingdom, man. He tagged me in some video and he played a clip of me talking about LeBron James hitting the side of the backboard. And then he played some clips of Michael Jordan hitting the side of the backboard in a game against the Boston Celtics or something like that. And I laugh at these guys. That's the classic case of quote unquote cherry picking, man. LeBron James can't shoot better than Michael Jordan, but they try to tell us he can. Look at that shot chart.
Yeah, I know. 1 for 5 from 3 on that. And here's where LeBron James boosts his shooting. This is from game 2. This is me just looking at the box score and watching LeBron James shooting. 2 things I want people to pay attention to here. So here's his first points. Let me rewind it. Hey, what do you know? Wide open, uncontested dunk. Nice outlet from Caruso. And you know what else I want to point out here? LeBron James never gives that easy point to the teammate who's out there ahead of him.
Nope, you're right.
But his teammates do it for him. Like,
See,
if that was
D'Angelo, is that they also call him a pass first player.
Right. Like D Wade or D'Angelo Russell will do something like bounce it off the backboard or throw a bounce pass to him so that he can do a dunk. LeBron just keeps dribbling this. Hey, I'm gonna boost my points and fuck my teammates. So speaking of, here's the end of the game. Look at the defense from the Miami Heat, if you can call it defense.
Wow, stat padding.
Well, you're correct. And let me get us off to the side here.
Up by 20. Up by 20 in there hitting layups and stuff, man. Weird stuff. I saw someone in the chat put that, I think it was King Shot Solomon. I don't know what the hell you talking about. You better slow your roll. Said LeBron James a better 3-point shooter than Michael Jordan. You guys are weird, man. Like, hold on, man. Like, how? How is this? Tell me how. If who do you want taking a 3-point shot? LeBron James or Michael Jordan? Stop the nonsense. Come on, you guys. That's some weird GOAT James Kingdom stuff. LeBron James a better 3-point shooter. Come on, man. Stop. Don't be drinking the Kool-Aid, King Shot Solomon.
I'll say in the age of 3-point shooting, when LeBron James shamelessly will go 0 for 8, 0 for 7, 1 for 7, and just keep shooting every game.
Yep.
Then he ends up having some games where he makes some.
The man can't even shoot free throws, but you're going to sit here and tell me he's a better 3-point shooter than Michael Jordan? He's airballing free throws religiously. Come on, man. Stop it. Look at this. Oh, we have to listen. This is what happens. This is what happened. My man, King Shot Solomon, you are completely lost right here. He shoots higher from 3, has better totals, and has better overall numbers from everywhere in the...
Oh, boy. My God.
Overall numbers of everywhere on the floor. I asked you a simple question. I'm talking about a real basketball question. You need a 3-point shot to win a game. You're taking LeBron James over Michael Jordan. Y'all don't worry about those numbers. You guys are weird, man. Oh, goodness gracious. Oh, good Lord.
I got to finish with this clip.
Yeah,
I got to
please.
finish with this clip because I don't know how many people saw the detail that you saw. Get me off to the side again. Guys, that's 20 points with 2 minutes left.
101 to 81 with 2 minutes to go. LeBron James still in the game. I just made
Why?
a video
Why is he
about
in the
this.
game? Why is he in the game?
I just made a video about AOH. I just made a video about this. How Michael Jordan would regularly check himself out of these games when the Bulls were blowing the team out or if they were getting blown out. I just talked about a game in 87 when Michael Jordan had 58 points after 3 quarters and he sat the entire 4th quarter. When he had 58, you're telling me he couldn't win for 70 or 80 points that game? Or at least went for 60? He sat out the entire 4th quarter. This dude always does this weird stuff.
So, for everybody who's proud of LeBron occasionally shooting well, look at the goddamn still frame on the screen, people. Look at the game of basketball that he's shooting threes in. Guys, if you're allowed to fucking miss wide open threes 8 times a game and you're forgiven by your coach and he says, go back and do it again, I'll shoot 50 goddamn percent in the NBA. If you're never going to punish me for being a terrible 3-point shooter, eventually I'm going to fucking make some, especially when the defense looks like this. That's an NBA game. What? Measure that for me. What's the closest defender to him?
And what you're talking about, AOH, this is great, AOH, because what you're doing is highlighting that guy who talked about King Shy about LeBron James' 3-point percentages. And
what are you proud of here,
shots.
King Shy? What are you proud of here?
These are the shots he's shooting, man. That's why it's not the same. You can't tell me that LeBron James is a better 3-point shooter. He's not a better shooter. He can't shoot. The shots that he gets, that he's allowed to shoot, are not the same shots that Michael Jordan was shooting, my man. No one's giving Michael Jordan open 3-point shots or open shots in general. If LeBron James is a great 3-point shooter and he shoots all these threes, he's been in all these NBA finals, then how come he doesn't have the record for the most 3.5? I mean, come on, man.
There's a few things here. This is typical looking defense in the NBA now, especially against LeBron James, whom they don't take seriously as a perimeter shooter. And another thing is the game's over. The other team is not, like, oh, don't rush, don't, foul. And they don't even attempt to stop him after he bricks it. And then he goes in for the layup. Like, it's garbage time, people. And when is LeBron James, we all know, even fanboys, if you want to go look at the stats, when does LeBron at his peak? When the game doesn't fucking matter, when the game's out of hand. Either you're getting blown out or you're blowing them out and the game's out of reach. People, that's nothing to be proud of.
You made another great point right there, AOH. LeBron James is a world-class front runner.
Wow, that was an amazing layup.
Yep, go to point total. Remember when Anthony Davis dropped 40 points and 20 rebounds in the play-in or the in-season tournament championship, and they gave LeBron James the MVP? Imagine if Scottie Pippen dropped 40 and 20 in a game, and they gave the MVP to Jordan. The LeBron James fans would be talking about that every day, man. Oh, man, Scottie Pippen dropped 40 points and 20 rebounds. He ain't get the MVP. They would never let it go.
That is a good point.
40-20 AOH in a championship. And remember, because the championship game doesn't count, there's no record of it technically.
Probably because LeBron was the glue. Didn't you get the memo? You can just come up with some shit.
He's the reason why Steph Curry went off when he did and saved the USA team. He's exactly the reason why. If LeBron James wasn't out there, Steph Curry can't do what he did. I mean, God forbid.
I think it was his powder tots before the games inspired Steph Curry to shoot better.
LeBron James was just as important during that run of Steph Curry in those moments against what team was that? Nikola Jokic's team, man.
Oh, Serbia.
Yeah, against the Serbian team, and Scottie Pippen was impactful at the end of that sequence in 1998 Finals, man, when no one touched the ball but Michael Jordan, man. That was LeBron James just standing around witnessing Steph Curry go off, but he's the glue.
LeBron's stupid, lazy ass had the defender next to Curry. It's like, get the fuck away from me. Can you
Like, dude,
imagine
you
if I
get in
did,
the way.
you imagine
Get out of
you're
the
about
way,
to
man.
shoot a you imagine you're about to shoot a three, Robin, and I just kind of like wander over toward you. I got you, man. Let me bring my defender over to you. I got you.
Yo,
I
Steph,
got you if
pass
you
me the
need me.
ball, man. I'm open. But you know, really, in the back of LeBron James' mind, he's saying, don't pass me the ball, Steph. Go do what you got to do. Because I ain't trying to take these shots because you ain't going to make them shots. But then you got people talking about LeBron James a better three-point shooter than Michael Jordan. Man, stop. It's insane to try to specify some of this stuff, man, and give this man an MVP when he was standing by watching Steph Curry bail him out. It's the same thing we saw from Kyrie Irving. They actually wanted to run the play for LeBron James. And LeBron James is like, nah, man, give it to Kyrie, man. Let him do his thing. Imagine them saying, hey, Mike, we're going to go to you right now in game 7, man. The score is tied. We're going to go to you. Phil Jackson's joining the play up. And Jordan turns around and says, hold on a second, Phil. Let's go to Scotty. We got to go to Scotty right now. Don't give it to me. Give it to Scotty. Oh, wait, better yet, let's give it to Kukoc. Let's give it to Steve Kerr. Let's give it to Rodman. Let's give it to everybody but me. This man went away from the moment. He stood in the corner while Kyrie Irving sized up Steph Curry and calmly hits the shot in his face. LeBron James was a witness to Kyrie Irving's greatness the same way he's a witness to Steph Curry's greatness.
So Mike Lowry says, and some other people asked me to block Sports and Fitness Rants hater because he comments all the time to make sure that his comments are at the top or something like that. I didn't even think about it like that before. So I guess there's more to it than just ignoring the stupid child. So yeah, okay, I blocked him. Mike Lowry, LeBron didn't just have all-stars. He had amazing bench also, but there was something that Uncut put out a little while back talking about the all-stars of Kobe and the all-stars of LeBron. And let me start by saying, I think Kobe had a fair amount of help compared to Michael Jordan. I don't think Kobe didn't have help. But a few things in that video, the people that were on the podcast making points, trying to defend LeBron, didn't even have their facts straight. Like you couldn't get your fucking facts straight before you came on. Another thing I was noticing as they were going through the list, how many of LeBron's all-stars were franchise players? They weren't just all-stars. They were the fucking franchise player of their team prior to becoming a role player with LeBron James. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I mean, Nick Van Exel was pretty talented. Was he ever considered a franchise player? How about Eddie Jones? You see what I'm saying? These are the people that they listed as Kobe's all-star teammates, people like that.
You know, when you made some great points. AOH, man, again, you brought up Kobe Bryant, and you brought up, the help of Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James. And, we could talk about, who had more help or didn't. The one thing that I respect about Kobe Bryant, what he did is essentially not the same, but it's kind of what Kevin Durant hasn't been able to do. When we laugh at Kevin Durant's championships and we don't really respect those 2 Finals MVPs, the way he went about it, I mean, you dipped and went to the team that beat you and all this stuff. We get all that. Kevin Durant left the Warriors to essentially prove that he could lead a team to a championship, that those championships weren't necessarily fraudulent, that you got to put respect on my name. I'm Kevin Durant. I can lead a team to the promised land. That's really what he was supposed to do when he went to Brooklyn. He was supposed to bring Brooklyn to the promised land. What Kobe Bryant did when he won those championships without Shaquille O'Neal on the team, it wasn't about Shaq being the number 1 guy and him being a number 2 guy or a sidekick. It's never been about that. It's been about Kobe Bryant wanting everyone else to never view him or ever think, and himself included. He wanted to prove to himself, I can be the lead guy where there's no question. I'm the dude, and I can lead a team to the promised land. I can do this. That's what his mission was. So he did that. He proved it 2 times over, man, and the man almost went for 3. So he proved himself in a way that Kevin Durant has never been able to come close to doing. Okay, and that's the problem for someone like Kevin Durant. So that's why Kobe Bryant got the respect that he has now.
I got a couple of questions about specific players, and I see some people in the comments are kind of thinking along the same lines. Did you ever consider Pau Gasol to be a franchise player prior to going and being second fiddle to Kobe? And two, how many people considered Kevin Love to be a franchise player? Because I can see in the comments some people don't think that, but he was an absolute fucking monster in Minnesota. And I went and looked at the rest of the roster, and it's like, if it wasn't him, then who was it? Ricky Rubio, briefly? I mean, no. I mean, Kevin Love's numbers in Minnesota were incredible. So, I mean, does anyone want to argue that Kevin Love was not Minnesota's franchise player? And I'm open to it. I'm open to it. I just want to hear.
Yeah, no, I think that what Kevin Love was doing, see, that's the problem. See, when you talk now about Kevin Love, people think you're making a stretch. They're like, oh, Kevin Love wasn't that great. But when you actually go and watch video of Kevin Love, you go and look at some of the quote-unquote stats. The LeBron James fans love the stats and numbers. You don't want to go look at Kevin Love's stats and numbers and what he was doing before he played with LeBron James. He was an all-NBA performer. Kevin Love was arguably the greatest rebounder in the game, especially at that position. The man was dropping 30-30 games. I mean, 30-20 games. He was doing this all the time. Kevin Love was knocking down threes. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm wrong, you guys can check me in the comments. I think he won a three-point contest, Kevin Love. So when you think about what he could do, his overall game, stretching the floor, the rebounding prowess, remember, he was a lot thicker when he played in Minnesota. He used that thickness to his advantage out there on the court, man. This dude was a baller, man. He was absolutely the franchise for them. They weren't a great team, but he didn't necessarily have a great team around him. The LeBron James fans talk about how much help he didn't have, right? And then they'll say, oh, what did Kevin Love do without LeBron James? Well, what was he? How much help did he have? Where was Kevin Love's help? Who was he playing with? You guys play the game with LeBron James, but you don't play with his teammates.
Right.
I would say Kevin Love was better than Pau Gasol was when he came to play with Kobe Bryant. See, when you think about Pau Gasol, he's remembered for being greater because why? Because he played with Kobe Bryant and won. No, but think about what I just said.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
played with Kobe Bryant and won. He's remembered for being greater. Kevin Love played with LeBron James and won, and he's remembered for being crap. Yeah.
There's a common denominator when somebody shits on everyone else and other players get their due, and one guy's teammates never get their due.
Yep. Imagine what Michael Jordan would do with Kevin Love. Look what he did for Horace Grant.
People can debate in their own minds whether Kevin Love was a franchise player, but his numbers were amazing. And in the season, this much was published. I found this documentation. In the season before joining LeBron James, he was a bona fide top 10 player in the league.
Yep.
Now, how many teams are there in the league? If you're top 10 out of that many teams, then you're clearly a franchise player. Because each team's going to have a franchise player, or at least they hope that they have a franchise player or are searching for a franchise player. If he's top 10 and he's putting up the numbers he's doing, I'm calling him a franchise player.
Yeah. I agree with everything you're saying, AOH. Like I said, it's sad that these players, their reputations, I mean, we could segue right into a Russell Westbrook real quickly, who just signed with the Sacramento Kings, but even someone like Russell Westbrook, who's an MVP winner in his career, when he played the season with LeBron James, I think he played like a year and a half with LeBron James, that first full season, this man was getting death threats. He was receiving death threats from the LeBron James fan base because, God forbid, he was turning the ball over. It was all Russell Westbrook's fault. They'll blame Russell Westbrook for LeBron James not winning a championship that season, man. They love to blame his teammates. But I don't remember Scottie Pippen getting death threats playing with Michael Jordan, and he messed it up way more often than Russell Westbrook did for LeBron James, man. It's insane the kind of stuff that LeBron James teammates have to deal with because of LeBron James and his fan base. Like you said earlier, LeBron James will never stand up for these guys and put his arm around somebody and say, yo, why don't y'all back off of Russell Westbrook, man?
Lowry says, what did Pippen do without Jordan? Well, he got fucking smoked embarrassingly by Kobe in that game against Portland. Rise above anything. Kevin Love was a monster in Minnesota. Thank you for the super.
Absolutely. Remember, if Kevin Love played with Michael Jordan, he would be the greatest player in NBA's history. They'd be Kevin Love. He's the greatest white guy ever. Larry Bird can't touch Kevin Love. Michael Jordan was playing with Kevin Love. The guy was a rebounding machine. He's the greatest white rebounder in the history of the game. This is what they would have been talking about with Kevin Love if he played with Michael Jordan, man. Everyone's hyped up. I told you, they talk about Steve Kerr like he's Steph Curry of the 90s. Like he was Reggie Miller or somebody, or Chris Mullin, or Mitch Richmond, or Glenn Rice, or Dale Ellis. It's Steve freaking Kerr, man.
So not a Russ fan, but sad to see him go to Sacktown, says a viewer. You mean because Sacktown doesn't know what the hell they're doing at the moment? Are they projected to do better this year? They were kind of on an upward trend and then just went down.
Yeah, they had some issues. They got rid of Fox. I like Sabonis a lot. Shout out to DeMontis Sabonis. I like some. I think they have the DeRozan still there. They have some players. I'm a little upset that Russell Westbrook had to go there. One of the points that I wanted to make when I brought that up was that this is what happens to someone like Russell Westbrook. His reputation takes a hit playing with LeBron James. So they were talking about Russell Westbrook maybe not even finding a home. So him signing with the Sacramento Kings is like almost like a last-ditch effort to stay in the league. And I hope that he can have an impact and that the Kings can, stay injury-free because a lot of these guys are injury-prone. And they can maybe make some noise, or maybe make a 7th or 8th seed. The Western Conference is going to be tough, man. There's going to be some really good teams out there. When you talk about the Dallas Mavericks potential of their roster on paper, we know about the OKC Thunder. The Nuggets, to me, have improved heavily. We talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards and him studying Michael Jordan, Kobe in the offseason. What's he going to do? I don't know, man. The Lakers on paper, man, got a good team. The LeBron James, Luka Doncic, the only team in the NBA with 2 top 10 players. So what are we talking here?
Yeah, with LeBron out of the way, Luka's starting to look like himself. Yeah, boy, too bad Russ can't do what the rest of us might do and just like leave off one of the companies that you worked for from your resume. This is too much public spotlight, but definitely that time in LA, Russ was just getting blamed for everything. Yep. And he kept a good face about him, but he had to have been feeling a little mental toll.
But remember, AOH, remember Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Remember, they were doing a lot of the Russell Westbrook.
They were pathetic.
The Russell Westbrook. So this guy remember his wife had to come out and say something about the family name, and Russell Westbrook got upset because they were trashing his family name. I mean, this is where we were at, playing with LeBron James. Shannon Sharp was doing everything in his power to sabotage Russell Westbrook.
And as you said, Skip Bayless was right there for it.
Yep.
Now, occasionally, Skip would spin it and show a few things of LeBron and be like, hey, that was Westbrookian. Yep. I guess that's kind of like saying, hey, LeBron's doing it too, but you're still shitting on Westbrook's name. Really, what should be said is that's LeBronian because he does it consistently.
I feel like a lot of Russell Westbrook's game is predicated on him causing chaos. That's how I've always looked at Russell Westbrook. He's been a guy who's used his athleticism to his advantage. My only knock on Russell Westbrook, or one of my main things about him is, and I think all of us feel the same way, is that he's really lacked adjustments throughout his career. He hasn't been able to reel it in. And I think the reason is because if he ever tried to reel it in, then he wouldn't be Russell Westbrook. So he's got the gift and the curse there. And I think what Russell Westbrook really needed in his career is he needed a really strong leader. He played with Kevin Durant. He's not a leader, Kevin Durant. He didn't play with a strong leader like that. He needed somebody, and he had Nikola Jokic last year, but I think it's a different dynamic at this point in time of his career. But he needed someone really to take him under his wing and really help guide Russell Westbrook, because to me, Russell Westbrook had potentials. He just never really adjusts his game. I mean, to me, Russell Westbrook never making an all-defensive team is something that I don't understand how that's possible, because he has all the athleticism and size at that position. He should be locking dudes down.
Good point. Crazy because they did the same thing to Chris Bosh, says 1, 2, 3. Yeah. We didn't even mention Chris Bosh. That's another guy who was a franchise player. Was Chris Bosh not the Toronto Raptors franchise guy when he went to Miami?
Yes, he was. He was a 2010 guy every season, man, out there for the Raptors. Like I said, the Raptors are one of those teams, the same thing like the Minnesota Timberwolves. they were a first round exit. They were one of those teams that was, maybe make the playoffs and get bumped out in the first round. And Chris Bosh didn't play with a lot of big name guys. He had some quality players on that team. He had some solid role guys, but he never had if he's your franchise player, he never had a real true number two. So for me, the Toronto Raptors were just a team that they needed some pieces. They were never going to be a great team, but Chris Bosh was a very good player. And like we mentioned, he's not remembered for being anything like he was. He's being remembered for being less than, because he had to adjust and mold his game to ultimately help LeBron James.
And we've got a super from AR23. Go ahead.
Yeah, shout out to my man Armando Ruiz for coming through as always. Love finished 6th in MVP voting in 2012. A few years later, he joins the LeSystem and is turned into a spectator on the wing. He killed Russ in Love's game. Absolutely. Thank you for mentioning that, man. 6th in MVP voting in 2012. And like I said, this is in a very competitive time. Kevin Love, and like I said, what he was doing on the Minnesota Timberwolves, who didn't have a lot of talent in the Western Conference.
Did you have any more verbatim quotes from the podcast, or did you get through them all? Because I think I took us off that path.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I know that there's one thing that you don't appreciate from LeBron James is how he speaks. And at the end of this little, I guess, answering of the question or whatever he was doing here, at the very end, after he said he was, born in the 80s and the 90s, and, people wouldn't take things so personal back then. He said that people now try to act as if every time you say something, you're talking directly to them. That's what he's saying here. And he said he follows that up by using the N-word and dropping the F-bomb, because this is what LeBron James has to do. He has to always, at any time you heard LeBron James speak on a microphone, he has to throw in some weird slang, or like I said, the N-word or MFer or whatever it is.
The actual N-word?
He has to, he actually said the F-word.
With ER, not even AR?
No, he said ING. F-U-C-K-I-N-G.
The F word?
Yeah, he said N-word, I'm not effing talking about you. That's what he was saying. He's talking about people thinking that he's talking about them, or people thinking that you're talking about them, and people taking it personally and people taking it sensitively. And like you said, it's the same thing. Dude, who the hell are you to talk about this stuff? But I just find that he's always got to curse and say some weird stuff, man.
Did he spell the N-word correctly when he sprayed it on his own house, by the way?
That's another great question. Because does that show integrity? That's not integrity. Fake reading books, that's not showing integrity.
That's speculation. We don't have actual complete proof on that one. That's as close to speculation as we get on here. But his gameplay is undeniable proof. Happy Born Day, Robin. Appreciate all your videos, says Rise Above Anything.
Wow. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Rise above anything. Thank you very much. A true supporter, always coming through. Thank you very much. Like I said, it means a lot when you guys come through all the time and support us, man. Thank you.
McZuggins wants to call in. You wanna do calls?
I gotta get going here. I do, man.
Okay.
It's getting a little late, man. And I got a family dinner and stuff, and everybody's probably waiting for me. I was gonna actually say that I gotta wrap it up in a couple minutes here.
Sounds good. Sorry, McZuggins.
Yeah, my fault, McZuggins. My bad. Like I said, I didn't realize, we were going to do anything. I was actually just going to say, man, I got to wrap it up soon here in a couple minutes.
Perfect. Thanks, everybody, for joining us on this Wednesday. Robin, you want to send us off? Want me to send us off with KLF or the Beatles?
Oh, man, it's a great choice. I mean, I don't know, man. Go with the Beatles, man. Once again, man, shout out to all you guys, man. It means a lot.
Thanks, everybody. Happy birthday.